is finally over.
We tried to convince Temple President John Fry to extend winter break until the men's team lost.
But we didn't want to jinx them on the 7-game win streak, but we're back anyway, and the streak continues.
Yes, the longest win streak in more than a decade. At the studio set, I'm Tamar Stubbs. Later in the show, I'll be taking a look at a team that hasn't lost in more than 5 weeks.
And I'm Haley Smith. Also later, I'll take a look at the women's season so far, including a recap of scores from winter break as the Owls struggle to stay above 500. Courts in Session doesn't wait. We're live right now.
Happy New Year, everyone. New year, new show, same anchor duo. Welcome into this season's first episode of Courts in Session. I'm Pat Dallahan, and he's Xavier Adams.
Winter break has officially come to a close.
And we start with the men's squad, and some very sad news that we learned just minutes before coming live today.
The men's team has lost one of its assistant coaches. This morning, the Temple men's basketball team announced the sudden passing of assistant coach Bill Courtney. Courtney joined the Owls staff this past offseason and formerly coached at UMiami and Cornell prior to his time at Temple. His impact both on and off the court will be remembered. Bill Courtney was 55.
Of course, it's very hard to transition from such a sudden and impactful passing to a winter break that saw such great things from the men's team on the court. But we do want to update everyone on how the team is doing with the win streak that we haven't seen for a long while. Let's kick it back to Wednesday. The Owls searching for lucky win number 7. Gavin Griffiths had his fingerprints all over last Wednesday's stat sheet, and it started early. He puts back Jordan Mason's layup for his first of 9 made field goals. And for ECU, it was all about Jordan Riley. The former Owl dropped a game-high 29 points, including this smooth left-handed layup for his second bucket of the day. It was an off shooting night from Darian Ford, but that didn't stop him from making an impact. He knocks down the tray ball to boost Temple's lead to 9 points. A few possessions later, it was more Jordan Riley. He dips into his bag and sets up Eli Delorier down low. Really nice pass. Look at this. ECU cuts the lead to 7. Later in the first half, Temple up 12. A Jordan Mason mid-range miss has the Owls offense scrambling. Manhattan transfer Swish Gilliard gathers the offensive rebound and keeps the ball in play, and it's capped off by this tough finish from Darian Ford. Owls take a 15-point lead into the second half, but not for long. 5 points right out of the gate by ECU, including this Dimitri Gardner mid-range J, cuts the Temple lead to 10. Later in the half, Temple up by 12, and guess who changes it again? It's Jordan Riley, knocking down his first of 2 made threes in the second half, and he cuts the Owls' lead to 9. About 2 minutes later, it's another bucket from Goggle Gav. Gavin Griffiths, off of a really nice set from Adam Fisher, gets his man in the air. Look at this, Pop-Tart, and he knocks down the 26-footer to boost the Temple lead back up to double digits. Under 5 to play, Temple up 7. It's Riley again. He goes right at Ford and hits a tough mid-range jumper to drag the lead down to 5. 3:30 to play. Temple hoping to put the game out of reach. Mason dribbles himself into the coffin corner and finds no other than Double G at the top of the key for 3, and he knocks it down for his 5th and final 3 of the game. And despite a late push from the Pirates, Temple holds on for its 7th straight win, 75-67. Griffiths made his presence felt, notching 24 points and knocking down 5+ threes for the second game in a row. Griffiths also recorded 4 blocked shots, the 3rd time this season he has swatted 4+ shots in one game. And despite shooting just 3 of 11 from the field, Darian Ford finished with 18 points himself. Ford made a living at the foul line, knocking down 10 of his 12 attempts from the charity stripe. And for ECU, it was all about Jordan Riley and Giamatti Emejuru. The Pirate tandem combined for 48 of ECU's 67, with Riley notching a game-high 29 and Emejuru adding 19 of his own. But even with a 3-0 start in league play, the Owls know that there's more work to be done to keep it going moving forward.
We really put an emphasis on trying to guard better in this win streak, and like you said, energy, especially getting off to better starts. And I think today that showed we got off to a pretty good start. I think just during halftime you can really see what the coverages are like. Like today was a switch team, so you can go into halftime and like decide how you're going to approach the second half a little bit. Yeah, I think that's somewhere I can improve a lot. I think I left some on the board today, attacking closeouts and getting downhill. So I think just like watching film and seeing which times are good to attack, which times are good to keep it moving.
I feel like we just prepare it like another game. You know, we take it the same way, play to our standard, and try to go get the win. Just buying into what our coaching staff tells us, watching film, taking care of our bodies, and going to perform on the court, playing with great effort to the standard.
Yeah, I think I thought we had a good little span of it, and I thought the second half we had a little bit stagnant. And when you got a guy that again, we talked about this in the game. Guys love playing with you. 5 assists, 2 turnovers tonight. He's going to find you. So we talk a lot of time. You got to keep moving. I thought there were some possessions in the middle of the second half where we just stopped moving and we were watching. And that's what we talked about the timeout. Hey, keep moving. Like even hey, the initial action breaks down. Get a cut, 45 cut. Get a go screen. Keep moving. And I thought we did that to end the game. Yeah, I think you focus on you. You really do a deep dive on your own team. What are the areas that we need to work on? Right now, as much Memphis right now, and then we'll switch to prep like we normally will. We'll prep the same exact way we do, but we'll spend that, and we'll ask our guys, how do you feel? Like, do we need an extra day off? And maybe just watch some film. Do we need to walk through some things? We really listen to them and how they feel. We got a lot of guys playing heavy minutes, so but we'll focus on us to end the week, and then we'll get ready to prepare for Memphis like we do every other week.
Over winter break, my co-anchor Pat mentioned that he spent some time hanging around the fire and watching Temple basketball. But while he was busy being all cozy at home, the Owls were also building something of their own, a win streak. For the first time in 11 years, the Owls are winners of 7 straight games, a season that also saw a separate 6-game win streak. This 7-game streak is the longest win streak in Adam Fisher's 3-year career at head coach. His previous career-long streak, you may ask, the 2024 season, that saw the Owls win 5 games in a row, including 4 wins in 4 days at the American Conference Tournament. So, Pat, we saw the game against ECU. Temple picks up their 7th straight win. They're on an absolute steamroll, and it seems to be even on a night where maybe not all the guys that are necessarily supposed to be your offensive guys are hitting on their offensive marks. We saw Darian Ford just 18 points on 3 of 11 shots. What were your thoughts?
Yeah, I thought that the offense moved okay. That's something that I've always been really hard on Coach Fisher and their staff about. Moving the ball is something that is incredibly important. Paint touches, ball reversals within a successful half-court offense in college are a necessity. And I thought they did a good job of that against ECU. Against UTSA, they were tremendous.
Absolutely.
But yeah, when you're able to have Aiden Tobiasen go 1 for 4 from the field, only shoot the ball 4 times, and you're still able to win by nearly double digits at home in league play where anything can happen, that's a big-time win. And Gavin, I've covered Gavin since we were in high school. I haven't seen him look this confident shooting the ball since our senior year when he scored 37 points against Dave Arnold Farms. But this is the best basketball that he's played in a while, and it's big for Temple on the offensive side.
Yeah, not even just to mention the offense. We have to talk about his defense as well.
Absolutely.
This kid is everywhere on the court. He had 6 blocks last game. He's averaging the 2 highest block percentages in recent history for Temple out of these games. But Gavin Griffiths, as you said, not only is he putting up 24 points, a career high for this season on points, he's also averaging 6 blocks, not averaging, he also had 6 blocks in this game and is going crazy on defense and bringing so much value to this team on so many ends.
Yeah, when you talk about recovery defense, and people think about recovery defense as a bad thing because it means you got beat. But when you're able to make up for it, like Gavin Griffiths, 4 blocks against ECU, 7 against UTSA, 5 against St. Joe's. For someone that is only 6'7", 6'8", that's not normal.
It's giving the team a defensive identity.
It does. It really does. You can't go inside on this Temple defense. But I want to talk about someone else. Darian Ford, you mentioned it, 3 from 11 from the field, a pretty dreadful shooting night. But Temple, under Adam Fisher, has always done one thing incredibly well besides turn the ball over. It's getting to the foul line.
Yeah.
Darian Ford shot the ball 12 times from the foul line.
10 of
12.
12, yeah.
Yeah, he was 10 of 12 from the line. When your shot's not falling and you still have the confidence to attack the rack, to go to the basket strong with bad intentions, you can see your confidence manifest when you're shooting at the foul line. And that is a huge part of this offense.
Yeah, it's just pure absolute value. And you see value out of so many positions everywhere on this team. Everybody on this team is doing something that is helping the team in one way or another. Whether or not he's scoring, like we said, he's still getting to the line. He's still contributing for his guys. So great game all around from them against this ECU team, a very proficient Temple game.
Yeah, it gets real like next week against, or I
Absolutely.
should say tomorrow against Memphis.
True, but we got eyes everywhere, and someone else who's been getting an in-person look at the 2026 squad is our beat reporter, Tamar Stubbs.
Tamar is live in the studio to detail us on the streak. What's up, Tamar?
Thanks, guys. This win streak is the longest for the Owls since the 2014-2015. Back then, Fran Dunphy was the man in charge. As the season moved along in American play, the Owls continue to buy into their standard of steady play and a steady diet of wins. Make that 7 consecutive wins for the Temple men's basketball team. The latest coming Wednesday versus East Carolina, a game where Temple basically led from start to finish. The Owls haven't lost since that buzzer beater versus St. Joe's more than a month ago.
The shot for St. Joe's was painful. We all know that, right? It was really hard. Our message immediately after that game was this shot will not define our season.
And that shot certainly has not. The win against the Pirates pushed the streak to 7. It's their longest streak since the 2014-2015 season when the Owls won 7 straight with Fran Dunphy as the head coach. Temple is also 3-0 in the American. This Temple team, like many others in this portal year, has so many new players. The Owls are gelling early on thanks to the play of Darian Ford and American Conference Player of the Week, Gavin Griffiths.
Run very well off the court, so I think that just translates onto the court. When you build personal relationships with guys, it helps on the court. So that's what we do very well. I feel like we're just always around each other.
Temple's 7-game win streak comes right after a 3-game loser streak. But for them to hold each other to a standard and pick each other up is what propelled them to go on this great run as they go into American Conference play.
Stay stoic. We don't change. We don't practice different after a win than after a loss. It is the same. Like, this is our standard. This is what we're doing. And whether you're up 40 or down 20, it doesn't matter to us. There's a standard here at Temple, which we're going to hold to. And I think we just believed in that. To me, culture is a group of people that stay a while, and then like a couple little parts change. Right? The standard is, hey, this is what we're going to do.
It's still early, just 3 games into an 18-game conference schedule, but so far, so good. As the Owls continue to hold themselves to that standard, let's look back on their journey since their loss to St. Joseph's back on December 6th. After the loss in the Big 5 Classic, Temple is 7-0, and the Owls put up sizable victories against Georgian Court and St. Francis. 2 close wins against Davidson and Princeton, as well as 3 conference wins against Charlotte, UTSA, and most recently, East Carolina. I'm Tamar Stubbs, reporting live from the studio set. Back to you guys at the desk.
Thanks, Tamar. The 7-game streak that the Owls currently on can almost certainly be attributed to the offensive wealth being spread around this Temple team. Darian Ford, Aiden Tobiasen, Gavin Griffiths, and Jordan Mason are all averaging double-digit points on the season so far, and all of them are averaging above 40% from the field.
Let's take a look at some more advanced statistics. The Owls are moving the ball at a much better rate this season. Last year, Temple ranked 340th in America in assist rate, with only 41% of their baskets coming off an assist. This season, Temple ranks more than 100 spots higher, ranking 235 in that category at 51%. Still not great, but a huge improvement nonetheless. A key component of Adam Fisher teams is not turning the ball over, a trend that has continued for Team 130. This season, the Owls rank inside the top 10 nationally in turnover percentage, with only 13% of their possessions ending in turnovers. With that, we're up on our first break of the show, but don't go anywhere.
The Owls we're returning, and we'll take a look on Diane Richardson and the women's squad. It was a mixed winter break, and Courts in Session is back in 90. Welcome back to Courts in Session. Tip-off gets us started down in Tulsa, Oklahoma, where the Owls face the Golden Hurricane. The Golden Hurricane immediately break out to a 6-0 lead over the Owls early in the first quarter, but Sanaya Craig finally gets Temple on the board with a layup. Deeper in the first, Jaleesa Molina for the Owls finds Drew Alexander wide open to hit the first three of the night and break the seal. Tulsa does answer back each time, however. This time, it's with an uncontested Jade Clack layup as she makes a nice move to get wide open on the inside. The Tulsa offense dominates into the second quarter when Maddie Cartwright knocks down her third three-pointer already in the game. She's shooting absolutely lights out from the field. Same quarter, it's the Owls now looking for an offensive rhythm, and Kayla Turner gives it to them with a 27-foot three-pointer. The Golden Hurricane get the ball up court quickly, trying not to let the Owls get set. Hannah Riddick driving, loses the ball, and Drew Alexander comes up with it for the Owls. It's quick transition ball, and she fights through the contact and makes the layup. A tough bucket for the Owls. Alexander now already at double-digit points in this game. End of the second quarter, Owls still down 14, and Laura DiStefano grows the lead with yet another shot from behind the arc. It's the third quarter now, and the Owls aren't giving up just yet. Drew Alexander drops off another three off the clean step back to create space. Finishing the third, it's Hannah Riddick driving yet again and finding yet another easy layup on the inside, making them work on that interior paint. Fourth quarter now, Owls only trailing by 8. Sanaya Craig getting physical in the paint, gets the floater to fall, and cuts the lead to just 6. So you're saying there's a chance? Absolutely not. Maddie Cartwright is there once again to crush those hopes and dreams with yet another three in the face of the Owls defense. Her 5th make on 5 attempts. A ton of points in this one off of a lights-out shooting night. Tulsa wins it 94-82 over the Owls. The Golden Hurricanes started the game hot and kept the foot on the gas to stave off a late comeback push from the Owls. Maddie Cartwright led Tulsa with 31 points and went a perfect 5 of 5 from 3. Forward Hannah Riddick helped with 22 points and a tough 11 rebounds. The Owls' comeback attempt was led by none other than Kayla Turner, who dropped 31 points on 24 field attempts. Guard Drew Alexander helped with 27 points and 4 boards, but it was too little, too late. The Golden Hurricane held off the Owls and sent Temple back up north with their second American Conference loss.
So we got to talk about the elephant in the room with that game.
Yeah.
Tulsa shot 13 of 17 from beyond the arc.
Yeah, just absolutely would not miss. It was on a wild, almost uncharacteristic like shooting night.
Cool.
It doesn't seem uncharacteristic when you actually take a minute to look at what this Tulsa offense has kind of been building together and been producing. It kind of becomes very apparent that they're going all in on this offense. But with preseason expectations, no one saw shooting like this coming out of that Tulsa team.
Yeah, they shoot 31% from the three on the season. 31% of 17 would be 5 made threes, so around 5.27 to be exact. If they made 31% of their threes against Temple, you could take away 24 points and Temple wins 82-70. Now, I don't want to play the ifs, ands, and buts game because winners don't do that. But that's incredibly frustrating if you're Diane Richardson, if you're the Temple staff. You dial up a good game plan. The offense was there. They scored 70 points. And in college basketball, most of the time, it's a race to 65. It's a race to 70.
Kayla Turner and Drew Alexander alone combined for 58 points in that game.
When you have your best player lead the game in scoring, you shoot 40% from 3, win the turnover battle and the foul battle, you can realistically expect to win that game, but when the team that you're playing makes 13 threes and 17 attempts, not likely.
And not only that, I think that not only was Tulsa just not missing from beyond the arc, they were hitting absolutely everything, but I think there was just a lack of hustle defensively on the inside from Temple. We saw so many times Hannah Riddick and all these players just getting to the inside and making it look easy, almost uncontested free layups. So I would really like to see more of a polished interior defense from the Owls if you're not, because like we said, it's almost impossible to beat a team when they're shooting that way from the arc. So I would at least like them to take away a defensive element from that game. You can't get beat both inside and out. If a team's going to shoot on you, they're going to shoot on you. If they're going to beat you on the inside, they're going to beat you on the inside. But you can't have both.
Yeah, but when a team is shooting 13 of 17 from three-point land, I'm locking all windows and doors, and I'm putting all of my defensive effort on the three-point arc. Basic math lesson, I didn't know this until recently, 3 points is worth more than 2. So from an analytical standpoint, it sounds so basic and so rudimentary, but it's such a huge point of emphasis defensively. If you're holding your teams in college basketball, if you hold your opponent to under 30% from three-point shooting, you're going to win more than 60% of your games.
Yeah.
Now, for Temple basketball, when you allow 70%, 50%, 60%, it's simply not feasible. And I have no issue with them getting beat inside, because when the outside is looking as good as that, defensively, you have to pick one, and you're going to pick the one that's worth more points. But our coverage of the women's squad is only just beginning. So let's take a look at how the women's team got to where they are.
Courts in Session beat reporter Haley Smith is here with us at the studio set to recap how the women's team looked over break. Hey, Haley.
The women's winter break was a mix of wins and losses, at times showing the potential to be a top team in the American, but also with some inconsistency along the way. Let's take a look at some scores over the break. Temple took a close loss to Trexel 59-52 before taking down Virginia Commonwealth 88-63. They picked up another win over Coppin State 59-39, but that ends the win streak. Nationally ranked Princeton beats Temple 87-77. The Owls were hoping to start the new year with a win, but found another loss 50-47 versus UTSA in their American opener. The team went on the road to even up its conference record with a win over Wichita State 70-50. But the one-win, one-loss trend continued on the road as the Owls fell to Tulsa 94-82, despite the 31 from Kayla Turner. The Owls have overall record of 3-4 since December 7th and are now 1-2 in conference play. It's no surprise that Turner is having herself a season, but the numbers are probably more impressive than most thought they'd be at this point. Turner has been one of the team's most reliable players, leading in points scored at 264 and shooting above 40% from the field. In fact, her 17-plus points per game is top in the American. Jaleesa Molina has also been a consistent player for Temple, shooting 50% from the field and has grabbed 117 total rebounds so far this season. Offense really hasn't been a problem for the Owls. It's more on the defensive side, where Temple sits near the bottom of the American, giving up about 69 points per game. The Temple women's basketball team will face Tulane Tuesday night at home, where I will be keeping everyone updated on our socials. Pat and Xavier, back to you.
Thanks, Haley. We're up on our second break of the show, so Xavier and I will use the ever-rare 90-second timeout.
When we come back, we'll break down some individual highlights from some star Owls. Courts in Session will return in 90.
Welcome back to Courts in Session. Both the men's and the women's squads are well into the season, so picking our favorite players from the season could be tough. Luckily, Xavier and I had another idea.
We went ahead and picked out a standout player from each team that has been hooping their you-know-what's off. And Pat, starting, it would feel like a crime to start with anybody on the men's team other than Gavin Griffiths.
It would be a crime.
It would be a crime. He's earned the moniker of LeBron Frames, and it's for such great reason. He possesses abilities that allow him to impact everywhere on the court. Here he is, nice little sidestep, gets out of the way and knocks down a big three-pointer for the Owls. But he does it all, offensively and defensively. Here he is snatching up a nice steal, goes down the other end with it, and just finishes the jam to give Temple some much-needed momentum. The offense has begun to view him as one of their top primary scorers alongside guys like Jordan Mason and Darian Ford, and it has simply given defenses so many problems because he can stretch the floor in so many different ways, whether it's going up there for that mean alley-oop or whether it's sitting back and hitting the crispiest three you've ever seen. Gavin Griffiths has all of the tools, and he's really become a standout leader of this Temple team.
Yeah, I mean, Simsbury, Connecticut, the 0670 has never had anything good come to this school from that town. But let's turn the page over to the women's team. My player of the season so far, how could it be anyone else? It's Kayla Turner, leading the team in scoring 17 points per game, the only player shooting above 40% on the team from the three-point line, one of two shooting above 30% from the three-point line. She has taken double the shots of the next closest Owl on the team. She's taken 225 shots this season. The next closest, 112. And when you watch the women's games and when you watch how she operates, within their offense. It's really fast-paced. They want to win the possession game, and they want to play fast. They want to outscore you. So when you have someone like Kayla Turner, a stalwart that you can really lean on game in and game out, that even if she's not having a great shooting night, you can trust that she's going to run the offense and get the shots up and get that offense into a good flow. She's been efficient, especially considering her volume this year, shooting 42% from the field, 43% from three. The only area that needs any improvement from her this season is the charity stripe, where she's just shooting 74% from that mark. But Kayla Turner, my player of the season, hey, she lets it fly. But it's time for another timeout. When we break the huddle, Xavier and I will take a look at the bigger picture for Temple men's basketball.
Courts in Session will be back soon. Welcome back to Courts in Session. Looking ahead at the schedule for the men's team, there are some must-see games just right around the corner. This Wednesday, the Owls will take on the consistent American Conference powerhouse, the Memphis Tigers, down in Tennessee. Following that, they're headed back home to the Liacouras Center, where on Sunday, they'll take on the Florida Atlantic Owls as they continue their march through the American Conference. And here is a peek at Memphis, this one versus FAU down in Boca Raton, Florida, where Aaron Bradshaw breaks the seal and gets the Tigers going. But FAU immediately responds when the guard Isaiah Elohim runs the floater over his defender and converts, sparking the scoring race. Later in the first half, Elohim, waiting patiently on the wing, gets the ball again off of the screen and bangs in the 24-footer for three. But the Tigers and 7-foot Tiger Aaron Bradshaw gets that green light from the top of the key to let it fly, and he knocks it down, keeping Memphis in the game as the first half closes. Top of the second half now, off-ball movement gets Doug McDaniel the ball and gets him wide open as he drains the three ball for the Tigers and gets them within 4. That's as close as they get, however. FAU exploits the weak perimeter defense and gets it to Xander Pintelon, who sinks the 6th three-pointer of the game for the Owls. And from there, they run away with it, handing the Tigers their first loss in the American Conference. Final score, 89-78. The Tigers tried to stick around in this one, but couldn't hang with the muscle of FAU and got bullied on the glass because of it. FAU outgained Memphis in total rebounds by a whopping 46-29 count. For the Owls, guard Kanan Carlisle led scoring with 17 points, while Xander Pintelon supported with 13 points and 8 boards, alongside Devin Vanterpool's 12 points and 11 rebounds. Memphis's Aaron Bradshaw carried the Tigers with 21 points and 5 boards, while his next best ensemble member was Doug McDaniel with 12 points. Those other Owls came out swinging, and they took down the American Conference projected favorite in the process. Following the slaying of a giant, we now have the updated American Conference standings. There are just 2 teams tied atop the American Conference, and both are undefeated in conference play. It's the Tulane Green Wave and your Temple Owls.
John Jacobs and Red Blue FAU are off to a terrific start to this season, but I want to focus on another squad. Look at the top of the table. That's Tulane. After a rough non-conference start, the Green Wave has started to navigate the rocky college basketball waters. Picked to finish 3rd in the league, Tulane has gotten off to a 3-0 start, led by American Conference Preseason Player of the Year and Georgetown transfer Rowan Brumbaugh.
Wow. But it's time for another break when we took a look at some American Conference action from the men's side of the ball, as well as the conference standings following all that action.
The ladies are on deck when we return. Courts in Session is back in 90. Welcome back to Courts in Session. You just heard X-Man take a look at the upcoming men's schedule before the break, so I'll turn the page and break down the women's side. The Owls are getting ready for a Tuesday night showdown against the Tulane Green Wave as they look to even up their conference record. Then on Saturday, the Owls will catch a flight down to Greenville to take on one of the best teams in the American, the East Carolina Pirates, in a matinee matchup on ESPN+. Temple is a measly 1-5 on the road this year, so it could be a challenge. Here's a look at the Tuesday night team for Temple. The Tulane Green Wave versus North Texas. And getting the scoring party started was Kenizah Daniel, the leading scorer for Tulane. North Texas out-rebounded Tulane 17-16 on the offensive glass, and the Mean Green capitalized on these opportunities. Second chance and 1 bucket for Megan Nestor. We'll move to the end of the first half. The Mean Green up big. Cherie Spencer drives straight to the basket and will not be denied. North Texas takes a 15-point lead to halftime. End of the third quarter, it's another Mean Green highlight. This time on defense. North Texas capitalizes off some lackadaisical offense by Tulane, and Jazzy Owens-Barnett finishes the layup to boost their lead to 13. Fourth quarter, Tulane hanging around. Offense in a hurry. Some excellent offense leaves Jordan Weaver wide open at the rim, and she cuts the lead to 3. Under 20 seconds to play, Tulane trails by 5. Amaya Mabry, with 3 defenders on her, finds a wide open Jada Brown down low to make it a 1-score game, but it was too little, too late from Tulane. The Green Wave fall to the Mean Green 59-53 and fall to 6-10 on this season. To say Saturday was a bad shooting night for Tulane would be a drastic understatement. The Green Wave really struggled from the field, shooting just 36% from the floor and 17% from 3. They couldn't buy a bucket, even if it was one of those buy one, get one frees. Despite poor shooting, especially from beyond the arc, Tulane's Michaela Marshall had an impressive outing. The freshman guard notched a 20-point, 10-rebound double-double. So what should Temple fans expect when they see the two teams clash on Tuesday night? Expect a fast-paced game with the possibility of lots of turnovers. Tulane turns it over 18 times per game, with Temple turning it over 19. A direct result of both teams playing a little too fast. Both teams love to play quickly, so Tuesday's game should be a very entertaining one. Let's take a look over to the women's standings now.
Yeah.
Plenty of familiar AAC title contenders from years past can be found at the top of the league. It's no surprise to see Rice, South Florida, and UTSA hanging out at the top of the table. But X-Man, there's one team in that group of 3 wins that really wasn't expecting to be up there.
Yeah, Pat, that's none other than, of course, the Tulsa Golden Hurricane. And now they're at the top of the conference because they have simply one of the most effective offensive units in the entire American Conference. They're currently ranked number 1 in the American in points per game at about almost 74, and they shoot about 44% from the field as a team. And now it has them rolling with the big dogs at the top of their conference. We're up against one final break. When we return, we're jumping into our Pulse Check, the weekly segment where Pat and I wonder at the wicked landscape that is college basketball.
Courts in Session is back in 90.
Welcome back to Courts in Session. It's been a while, Pat, but now it is once again officially that time.
It sure is, X-Men. New year, same segment, new topics. It's time for everyone's favorite segment, the Pulse Check, where Xavier and I break down the biggest storylines in college basketball. Let's catch a flight out to Ann Arbor, Michigan, where the number 2 team in the nation, the Michigan Wolverines, fell to Wisconsin 92-88.
They sure did.
And I'm not that moved by that loss. For me, I had Michigan in my preseason Final Four, along with UConn, Purdue, and Houston. We'll talk about UConn in a couple minutes now. But Michigan, when you lose a game at home in the Big Ten, that hurts really badly. But what were your main takeaways from this game from Wisconsin?
I saw a gritty Wisconsin team. I saw a Wisconsin team that's willing to, it's like you said, I didn't really see much, honestly, that I thought would really rattle me as a believer in Michigan. I still think Michigan is within that top 3 echelon of teams in the nation. But I think going out there and winning the way that Wisconsin did, they really just proved that they're not one that's just going to lay over and get beat by these big ranked teams. Yaxel Lendenborg, a former UAB player in the American Conference, familiar with American Conference ball, he goes to Michigan. He only had 14 points with 6 boards. I think he's going to have a better game. I think he's going to develop more. So I think this is going to be a almost needed setback, almost a needed test for Michigan to kind of really see where their flaws are so that they can really try to make that postseason push.
Yeah, they have a chance to bounce back against Washington this week. Let's keep it in the Midwest. Nebraska ball. Fred Hoiberg, watch and learn. 16-0 on the season. The owners of the longest win streak in college basketball, dating back to April of last year. And it's no secret, I'm a big fan of Nebraska basketball this season.
Nebraska ball.
I'm a believer. Rink Mast has been one of the best players in the Big Ten. Against Indiana, they were down 51-37 and had a 13-0 run in the second half and a 16-1 run in the second half. A big-time win for Nebraska.
Yeah, no, they just showed so much incredible poise, especially like you said, when they go on those offensive runs, when they really prove that they can just be the team that locks in and decides who's going to take over that first or that second half. Teams with that ability are the very scary teams, and that's why Nebraska is becoming an incredibly scary team as they stack these wins with not a single loss. But keeping things moving, we should also talk about the Big East seeing a lot of struggles, not a lot of contenders coming out of that conference, and it's raising a lot of questions for a lot of people.
Yeah, the 6-time national champion UConn Huskies are performing up to par. St. John's had different plans. The league was really relying on them to finish top 5 in the nation.
Yeah.
Rick Pitino's plans were to not recruit a point guard, and he's seeing the results play out in real time. They're dreadful. The Big East has only maybe 2-3 teams that can make the NCAA
And
tournament.
for a while, we thought it was always that Pitino, Dan Hurley sort of thing going on at the top of that conference. And now UConn seems to be kind of just taking a hold of it with Pitino kind of not, like you said, not getting a point guard and kind of letting his team fall to the wayside a bit.
Yeah, Ian Jackson's not the guy. But let's move on to women's basketball.
Yeah.
A big-time upset in the SEC last week. Texas falls to LSU. Number 2 falls to number 6, and it was a disastrous day for Texas, Xavier.
It was, yeah. No, we've been talking. We were just talking about with UConn. These women teams. It seems like there's a couple teams that really every year seem to be super, super dominant, and we were seeing this out of this Texas team until they lost to LSU in a huge upset.
Yeah, Rory Harmon and Jordan Lee, a dreadful shooting day, combined only 4 of 18 from the field, and 5 different LSU players were able to notch double-digit scoring. So an impressive outing from Kim Mulkey and the Tigers.
Absolutely. But
that's all we have for this first edition of Courts in Session this semester. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, as always.
be sure to tune in at TUTV at the same time, 12 p.m. next Tuesday, when Pat and I break down the latest and greatest from the men's and women's basketball teams. You won't want to miss it. As always, I'm Xavier Adams, he's Pat Dallahan, and we'll see you all next week.